Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to your very own BYJU'S 9th and 10th grade channel. I'm your teacher Aishwarya and I welcome you to yet another amazing class with us today, where as a part of our Race to Exams 2024 series, today I have brought you the ultimate set of questions that we will solve together that will help you prep for all your biology chapters. So I hope that all of you are excited for this class, and very quickly students, please do let me know if my audio, my video and my screen and whatever I am writing on the screen, let me write it on this side. Whatever I'm writing on the screen is visible. If it is, give me a quick thumbs up to let me know that we are good to go. So I can see that many of you are here. Good evening, Shrivali, Pragati. Good evening, all of you. Good evening. How are you all doing? It's been some time, right? Been quite some time since I met all of you, and I realized that my first class back is with my dear 9th graders. Yes, I can see that you're all excited. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I have missed all of you as well. Trust me, I think I was gone for almost like a month because I had to recover, and as you can see, finally, for those of you who've been very regular on the channel and who've heard my voice before, you now know that my voice has become better. But yes, as you all know, I'm still I have recovered. I wouldn't say I'm still recovering, but I have to take some precautions, which means that as much as I take precautions, you will also be there by my side, right? So good evening, Amit, Aditya, Abhimanyu, Ashish. Good evening. 10th graders, I'm coming tomorrow. Yes, ma'am, 10th, mentee in great demand. Subjective questions in great demand. Everything is in great demand, and I'm going to come back with that, right? Yes, good evening, all of you. Good evening. So jaldi say we'll get started. I'm not going to waste any more time. As you all know, when I get started, the first thing that I tell you is what you can expect today, right? So first and foremost, as you all know, today we are going to be solving 30 questions. Yes. So in 30 questions, we will be doing 15 objective questions, wherein we will have poll. No, there is no mentee today. Let me give you a heads up, right? So we do not have any mentee, but we do have poll questions, right? Now, on the other hand, we will also be doing 15 subjective questions, because see, in your examination, nobody is going to ask you, come and give you one mentee code and say, guys, let's play mentee. You need to know how to write the answer as well, right? Which is why we also have 15 subjective questions. Now, with this, you will get an idea of how much you have prepared or how much you have revised for the final examination. Now, how many of you feel ki, ma'am, my revision is not too good, right? Ma'am, I've been revising, but somewhere I feel like I have not revised enough, and I think I should revise better. And if I should revise better, how will I do that? How can I maximize my score, right? How many of you feel this way that, ma'am, I want to maximize my score, but for some reason, I don't know what kind of resources to use, or ma'am, I don't know, my parents are telling me to revise this way, my class teachers are telling me a certain way, you are telling me a certain way. Now I'm very confused. I don't know what is what. We all have this big confusion, right? Which is why, to maximize your score, we decided that, see, we know our students, we know the problem, right? We know where the problem arises. Which is why here today, we have decided to take up a free webinar for all of you, right? So this webinar is going to be absolutely free. And in this particular webinar, what we are going to be helping you is to understand how you can revise better, what resource you should use in order to, help get the concepts better. Try to identify what are the chapters that you know well, what are the chapters that you don't know well, right? And if you don't know the chapter well, what can you do, right? So we will be teaching you, or helping you, not teaching you, but rather helping you with all of this. So we will be targeting effective strategies. Now this is very important, especially closer to annual examination. Highly recommended that you don't just do this, just take the webinar by yourself, but rather ask your parents also if they can spare some time. This is happening on the 4th of Feb. It's a Sunday. I'm sure you can spare 1 hour with us. If you look at the description of this video, you will find the link to the same, right? Which is why, as you all know, registration is important. Jaldi say, right? Teaching or helping, it is helping, right? Teaching would be a very far-fetched thing for me to say. But yes, right? Ma'am, we don't have improvement. It's okay. The other 2 chapters are there. You can still give me the answers for improvement, right? So link again in the description below. Now going back, as you all know, when you come to my class, please make sure you have your notebook and your pen ready, have your stationery ready, have your water bottles ready, and a quiet place to sit and focus. And don't forget to hit the like button on this video. Jaldi say, let's make it to 100 likes and let's get started. Manat, I will be bringing back SST sessions. Don't worry. ठीक है? मैम बायो में भी क्वेश्चन आएगा, जरूर आएगा. Okay. When is webinar? Webinar is happening on the 4th of February. It is not a purchased one. You don't need to pay anything. It is absolutely free. Just come, attend, go. Bus. Yes? Okay. So are we ready? Is the Josh high? I see that, you know, after I've come after so long, I need the Josh to be little high, no? So jaldi say. Ma'am, menti. तो आज तो menti नहीं है, but I'm sure that, you know, we can do menti next time. So this time we will do polls. Next time I promise we will do menti. ठीक है? Okay. Good evening, ma'am. How's your health? I'm good. This is literally my first class after my break, so I can, I'm really excited. Okay. Ma'am, मेरा जोश तो नहीं है. जोश आएगा. Don't worry. Awesome. Okay. So let's get started, everybody. First with the objective questions. Class 10, I'm telling you, we've come back. I've come back, and soon Ankita ma'am will also be back. We are going to be back on the channel with a bang. So a lot of prep sessions coming your way. So don't worry about it. Yes? Awesome. So first question on your screen right now. So here, as you can see, there is a diagram given. Okay, let's have a look at this. Outer surfaces of some cells are folded into finger-like projections. Which of the following would be a function of such folded structures? So I will get the poll ready on the channel and you can give me the answers. So as you can all see, we have 4 options from which you need to tell me which would be the correct answer. Awesome. Is it to increase energy production? Is it to increase the rapid rate of cell division? Is it to increase the cell's ability to absorb nutrients or to help in the movement of the cell? Now read the question. Yes, slightly tricky, no? Slightly tricky. Wherein, yes, I love the fact that we are confused at the very point that I knew you guys will get confused in. Outer surfaces of some cells are folded into finger-like projections. Which of the following would be the function? Yes, can you tell me? Okay. Very good. The poll is live and now I can see that many of you are telling me, almost 40% of you are telling me, ma'am, it is because it is folded in order to help in absorbing nutrients, right? While many of you are conflicted with movement of the cell or help in movement of cell more effectively. Okay. Then we have some of you telling me, ma'am, it could be energy production, but everybody's decided ki this has nothing to do with cell division. Okay, very good, Gaurav. Rudra's giving me the answer. Pragya, sure it is C. Tabraj is telling me, ma'am, maybe D. Aditya also is telling it is D. Okay. Option C, option D, lot of conflict. Okay, we are conflicted between option C and D, but I can see that many of you here are saying me that it should be option C. That is where the majority is going towards. Now let's have a look at our keywords, right? So now we are talking about, see, let's revise our keywords. We are talking about finger-like projections, right? Now, earlier in our lower grades also we have learned that in our small intestine, there are these finger-like projections called as villi. And what do these villi help us to do? The villi helps in the absorption of substances, or they help in absorbing nutrients. Now in 9th standard, what have we learned? In 9th, we have learned that these villi that are there are made of columnar epithelium, right? So we know that the inner linings of the small intestine are made up of columnar epithelium. Now, on the other hand, we have also heard that one modification of columnar epithelium is we have ciliated columnar, right? So here is where we are confused. We have something called as ciliated columnar. Now, in ciliated columnar, what do we see? They are cytoplasmic projections, right? So we see that they are cytoplasmic projections. But what are they? Are they finger-like or are they hair-like? Can you tell me, are they finger-like or hair-like? These cytoplasmic projections which we call as cilia. Finger-like or hair-like? Yes. Jaldi se, Ashish, tell me hi as well. Exactly. So they are hair-like. Yes, that is point number one. Now point number two, what do they help in? We know that this cilia that are here, they move back and forth, right? So we know that they move back and forth like this. They have a they keep lashing back and forth. Now what do? Do they help in the movement of the cell? Are they helping in cell moving from one place to another? When we say movement of cell, that means that cell is moving. Is the cell moving? If it said that movement of substances, I will still take your answer. Yes or no? If you tell me movement of substances, I will still take your answer. But is cell going from one place to another? No. Then how will answer D be the correct answer? All of you just saw movement. You saw finger-like. You saw some outer surface. You've all decided that it is cilia. Silly mistake, students. This is a silly mistake. It is telling to help in the movement of cell more effectively. Where is the cell running away to? I mean, we have some cells which move. But in this particular case, even if you're thinking about cilia, that is not the answer, right? Exactly, D is wrong, which is why in this case, what would be the answer? Now you all tell me. The correct answer here would be option C. It helps the cell's ability to absorb substances, right? So in this case, we know that we have the villi as an example. Now see, this is not exactly direct, little bit here and there is indirect, but in nonetheless, right? Ma'am, it could be amoeba also. Now see, now you're thinking of one case, right? Here they're being very generic. Yeah, so now if you're taking amoeba and all, okay, it could be, you can be like, ma'am, specifically it could be this. But here they're asking a little bit more generically. That's why you'll have to think of it on the more broader front. Now to increase energy production, I take your point, that's correct. But is it the outer surface? We know that energy production is involved with mitochondria, right? It is involved with mitochondria. Now in the case of mitochondria, we know that there are these finger-like projections, or the inner membrane has finger-like projections, which is why it is on the inside, not the outer surface, which is why correct answer is option C. Awesome. Are we good to go? But I see majority of you have given me the answer, so well done all of you, right? Now quickly we will go on to question number 2 on your screens now. Okay, this is also a little bit interesting. There are numerous exotic breeds of poultry which have been successfully acclimatized in India. That means that various foreign breeds have come in and they've gotten used to the Indian climate. One of the most exotic breeds of fowl in India, which produces long white eggs, has a very small body size, so it needs to feed, we need to give it less food and it less maintenance. Choose a name which has all these characteristics. Now you have 4 examples from which you need to tell me the correct answer. Now how many of you think that this is out of syllabus? Yes? How many of you think it is out of syllabus and you're like, ma'am, all this is not there? Okay, the poll is live, everyone. You can give me the answer as well. Sometimes, you know, when I see such questions, I am sure that you feel this way. Ma'am, it seems very complicated, so I think that, this is out of syllabus. So many of you were asking me for the webinar dates. Now, interestingly, the webinar is happening in both English and Hindi. So you have a Hindi session. So if you're comfortable in Hindi, it's happening in Hindi as well. Hindi session is happening at 11 a.m. and the English session is happening at 12:30, both on the same day, that is 4th of Feb. And jaldi say I'll give you the details of the webinar once again. Okay. Hello, Pahal. Hello. Ma'am, two breeds are only given in NCRT. Exactly. Only two breeds are given to you in NCRT, which means that ideally, when we're talking about exotic breeds which lay eggs, right? So, which means we are talking about we're talking about layers, right? Now, here we're talking about something which has small body size, right? And of course, which is mainly producing eggs. Now, in all this case, we're talking about an exotic breed. Now, a seal, Kadaknath, all these are indigenous, right? That means that they are found or they are from India. They're not exotic breeds. So, nope and no. Now, we're left with Rhode Island and White Leghorn. Now, if I give you more what do you say, technical explanation, Rhode Island red is an example, but Rhode Island red that is there is both. It's a dual one. You can rear it for eggs, you can rear it for its meat also. But in this case, we're talking about something which has a very small body size. And in this case, the answer that is there is nothing but the White Leghorn. And it's actually from Italy. So in this case, the correct answer is option B. Now, one more way is, that's the only example that is given in your NCRT, so it's an easy way for you to remember. The remaining ones are things that I have taught you, but you also know that sometimes they could ask you a little bit, which is with, extra examples as well, right? So in this case, the correct answer is option B. Now, for those of you who have improvement in food resources in your final exam, always remember one thing, right? That you need to know the difference between what is a layer and what is a broiler. So don't forget, right? Broilers are for meat. Layers that are there are mainly for eggs, right? Yes. Awesome, all of you. Very good. So with this, I can see that many of you here have given the answer. 78% of you have given me the answers. So well done. We'll end the poll and we'll move on to the next question. Ooh. Next question is a short question in the exam. It is a short question. You have a neuron given to you, ABCD marked. You need to tell me which among the following options gives the correct answer, right? Okay. So let me give the poll up. I'll put the poll up, and in the meanwhile, you can give me the answer. Easy peasy? Okay. Very good. Hello, Samiksha. Hello. Welcome to class. Many of you are very new. Many of you I am seeing you've been regular right from the beginning of the year. So super proud. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the channel as well, right? Very important that you hit the subscribe button as well. So the webinar, Nandini, is about helping you maximize your scores. So what kind of strategies, what kind of techniques can you implement during the next few weeks so that you can do really well in your final exam? So if you really want some strategies, some tips, and it's not anyone else, Saurabh sir is the one taking the webinar. So if you want to learn and understand from us in this exclusive webinar, go ahead and register. The link is there in the description of this video. And see, if I were you, I would definitely register for this webinar. So go ahead and hit that. Hit that link so that you can register immediately. Okay. Cyrox, you can attend the webinar as well, and I'll give you some basic tips towards the end of the class. Okay. So I can see that many of you here have voted for the answer, and quickly to have a look, I can see majority of you have got it correctly. Now here, if you look at the structure of the neuron, I always tell you, right? The neuron has a cell body, which is also it has a cell body here. Wait 1 minute. It has a cell body here, which is called as cyton. It is called as soma, or we can call it as cell body. Now we know that from the cell body, there are going to be cytoplasmic projections, right? So we know that there will be cytoplasmic projections, and these cytoplasmic projections are what we call as dendrites, right? So A here is dendrite. Now going back, as soon as if you've identified A as dendrite, eliminate out options A and C, because A and C are telling you that A is nucleus. Now what do we have? We have B here. Now B is pointing towards this dark structure in the center, which is the nucleus, which means you kind of don't need to solve for the next few ones, but nonetheless we'll see what is C and D. We know that C here refers to this long projections called as axon, and D here is the axon terminal. It is called as nerve ending, whatever it be, right? Which is why in this case, what do we see? The correct answer is option B, where A is dendrite, B is nucleus, C is axon, and D is nerve ending. So well done all of you, well done. I'm super proud. Many of you here, majority of you here have got the correct answer. Okay. 10th, kal, I'm coming tomorrow for 10th with again 30 questions and 30 very interesting questions. Is neuron the longest cell in our body, right? Okay. Hello Manvi, hello. Very good all of you. Soma, I have a question on that. So can I take that example of green manure and concept of weeds when I take a question? It'll be easy for me to, teach that then. Okay. Next, moving on to question number 4. Now I will take your questions. Weeds affect the crop plants by how? We have killing plants in the field before they grow, dominating the plants, competing with them for various resources, or is it all of the above? Okay. So let me give you the options, everybody. Just give me one moment. Okay. So the poll is live and yes, Ayushman, I missed you too. Missed all of you actually. I would keep, seeing classes of everyone, and then sometimes I used to just miss taking class. But I knew that if I have to be there during your final exams, I had to take that step to make sure I rest well. What is PPLO? It's a very small microscopic organism. Okay. Arsh ma'am, we're all here. Okay. I know I missed all of you too. You have no idea. You have absolutely no idea how much I missed all of you. Hello Sukman, hello. You all are telling me, ma'am, we know the answers, and I'm seeing so many wrong answers. What has happened in this 1 month, everyone? Have we forgotten biology? Have we all forgotten biology? That, abhi, it's okay. No, need not study. What has happened? Hi, Asta. Hello. Okay. Diversity is not there. Berseem, I think it is a weed, right? But what is a weed? That is what I want to know. See, what are weeds? Weeds that are there are undesirable plants that grow along with the crops, right? So these are crops or these are plants which are undesirable. That means I don't want it, right? I don't want these plants to grow. They are not doing anything for me, right? Or they're not helping me in any way, but they're growing alongside my crops. So does this mean that these are crops which kill the plant that it grows along with? It doesn't kill the plant. It is just harmlessly growing side by side. Is it dominating the plants to grow? No, it's not dominating per se, but rather what is happening? It is competing with the plant, right? So we see that it is competing with the crop that I have already grown. So if this is my piece of land and this is my crop, then this is the weeds, right? So these are small undesirable plants. They are not going to go and kill this plant and say, get lost, I want space. No, they're not going to dominate, but yes, they will dominate at one point. But how will they do that? They will only do it by competing with the crops for sunlight, water and nutrients. Which is why in this case, what do we see? Is it all of the above? How is it all of the above? They are not killing the plants in the field before they grow. They are not doing that. I don't know why. That is weedicides, right? Weedicides have the ability to kill, let's say they are chemicals. So they have the ability to get rid of these undesirable plants, but weeds are not killing the plant. They are harmless. They are growing side by side. But because they are competing with my crop for resources, we see that it makes, what will happen, my crops have less nutrients now because this other plant has gone and started to taken it up, right? Or it started to use it, which is why the answer is C. Why have we gotten confused? You all tell me. Why have all of you gotten confused with all of the above? This question I think is from various resources. Like Tripti ma'am has gone all out to give you the best kind of questions for practice today. Because I can see that with the fourth question only we have all gotten so much. We have gotten so confused at this point. All the best, Asta. I hope you do really well. Ma'am, just now I saw. See, Aditya, these are mistakes we will make in our final exams. Example of weedicides, we have 2,4-D, glyphosate. These are all examples. Anu, you are asking me for saying that you have a doubt. What is your doubt? You can let me know. Oh, I forgot to tell you one main thing. Today's class will be long, about 2 hours. So class will end only at 8 o'clock today because I also have to take some breaks in between. Ma'am, option B was confused. See, how do they affect the crop plants? They dominate the plant to grow? Not always, no. Not the case, which is why the correct answer is C. Yes? Okay. Let's move on, everybody. I will end the poll. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. This is from cell chapter, right? Okay. Ma'am, which of the following can be made into a crystal? Anu, you should ask Kriti ma'am that. I am not the best person for it because as much as I know my chemistry, but Kriti ma'am will be the better person to ask. You can ask in her class, okay? ठीक है. Next question, question number 5. We have 4 functions given to us from which you need to tell me which is not a function of ribosome. Not a function. Now you have 4 options from which you need to tell me the correct answer. Anu, why did you say no? Okay, this is easy. Hello Darshan, hello. Okay. Let me have a look. Many of you are giving me the answers. Well done, all of you. Well done. See, those of you who have annual exams going on, this class is going to be very helpful, right? Very, very helpful. Now, don't give me answers blindly. Don't be like, ma'am, I'm just going to blindly give the answer. That's not our approach. Priya, give the answer with more confidence. Don't put question marks. See, guys, don't ever doubt whether your answer is correct or wrong. Go for it and give me the answer. Okay. Everybody is saying C, 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 and I can see that many of you here have got the correct answer. Majority of you have voted for the correct answer, and the correct answer is option C. So well done. Now, what are ribosomes? What's the primary function of ribosome? We know that ribosome that is there is basically a cell organelle which is mainly responsible for the synthesis of proteins, right? Now, if you see, we see that proteins that are there, we know that proteins is just a broad way of saying, but if you look at hormones, enzymes, they are all proteins that are there in our body. Even antibodies that are there are type of proteins that are there, which is why manufacture of enzymes. What are enzymes? Enzymes are nothing but biocatalysts. We have all heard about what is a catalyst, right? In a chemical reaction, catalyst is a chemical substance that increases the rate of a reaction, but it does not get involved directly. And our body, end of the day, means so many chemical reactions are happening, which is why in our body also there are various catalysts which are produced. For example, you know, pepsin, trypsin, these are all some examples which you will learn again in your 10th standard. Now, these biocatalysts that are there are also, or these enzymes that are there are also synthesized with the help of ribosomes. Now, bile juice, starch molecules are all not synthesized by ribosomes, which is why we see that the correct answer here is option C. Right? No, bile juice is not manufactured by ribosome, right? No, they do not have, they are not double membraned. They are not double membraned organelles, right? Okay. Ma'am, I would prefer, Yash, that you study bio and come for this because these are higher order questions, right? मैम बस सिर्फ 2-3 बच्चों की सुनती है नहीं. Chat is running very fast, so sometimes I miss the question. Which among the following could be made into a crystal? Viruses can be crystallized. Why viruses can be crystallized? Because their structure is such, right? We see that normally they have a proteinaceous covering, and because of its natural structure, it does not have a structure like a cell, which is why due to its structural components, we can crystallize it. Yes? Ma'am, why enzymes are involved in some chemical reactions? They are involved in some chemical reactions in order to speed up the rate, right? Okay. Awesome. Which is the smallest cell? Smallest cell is that of a bacterial cell. The PPLO that is there is an example. Okay? Okay. Now let's move on, everyone. We will move on to the next one. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit. I'm going a little slow, so I'm going to pick up the pace. Yes? Choose the incorrect statement or the wrong, sorry, not PPLO, mycoplasma. Thank you for that. Not PPLO, it's mycoplasma, which is the smallest one. Thank you. Yes. So now, of course, we have 4 statements from which you need to tell me the correct, which is the incorrect statement. Yes? Okay. Which are double membrane cell organelles? Your mitochondria, chloroplasts, they are all examples of double membraned cell organelles. So let me quickly give you the poll, students. This is easy. Okay, so let's go through the question statements once. We know that the statement 1 or statement A says that nature of matrix differs according to the function of the tissue. So now we know that especially in connective tissues, we know that broadly we have loose connective tissue, we have dense connective tissue, and we have fluid. And how do we make this differentiation? We make this differentiation based on the nature of the matrix, right? Or the ground substance in which we find the cells. Which is why we see that the nature of the matrix differs according to the function of the tissue or vice versa, right? So this here is true. Now what is matrix? Deepti, like I said, matrix is a ground substance. It's basically, think of it as if you have to make lime juice or lime water, right? You will need to add lime juice to water, right? So that water there is acting as a matrix where you will pour your lime juice into it, right? Rough example, day-to-day example, if I were to give you, it's a very cliche, it's not exactly that, but as a ground substance where you will add it. Yes? Next up, it says that fats are stored below the skin and between internal organs. Absolutely, this is also true, right? Because we know that fat that is present, or we know that adipose tissue is present below the skin, and it protects or acts as padding surrounding the important internal organs. Cells of striated muscles. Now what are striated muscles? They are our skeletal muscles or our voluntary muscles. Now we know that these muscles or the characteristics are the fact that they are multinucleated and unbranched. Which is why what is incorrect? Epithelial tissues have intercellular space. Do they have intercellular space? No. These cells have no intercellular space, and they are, a continuous line of, I would say they are a continuous sheet, right? Navmi, can you send your doubt once again, please? Okay. Awesome. Very good, Aditya. Very, very good. I can see many of you here have got the correct answer. So quickly we will move on to question number 7. Question number 7 is basically that there is a table given to us where we have some cell organelles and some description. Now based on this, you need to tell me what kind of cell is it. Is it an animal cell? Is it a plant cell? Is it a bacterium? Or is it a virus? Okay. So let me give you the poll. Navmi, I actually have a question for what you have asked me. One subjective question is there. I'll take your doubt in that. The poll is live, everyone. You can give me the answer now. This is easy. Super duper easy peasy question for all of you. We're talking about a cell. See, first of all, if we are saying that it is a cell, it is not a virus. It's not virus, because we will not say virus is a cell, right? It does not justify whether, it doesn't really justify the fact that, it is a cell. We don't use that term, right? So it is not virus. Now what do we have? We have a cell which has cell wall in it, which means it cannot be animal cell as well, because there's no cell wall, only cell membrane is there. Now you're left with plant and bacteria. Now this has vacuole, it does not have centriole, and it has a nucleus. Now we know that bacteria does not have nucleus, it does not have vacuole or any kind of structures, so it cannot be bacterium, which is why in this case what would be the answer? We see that the correct answer here is plant cell, right? Because a plant cell has cell wall made of cellulose. We see that it has a large vacuole and it has a prominent nucleus. So in this case, we see that the correct answer is option B. Ma'am, virus is a cell, right? No. See, when we talk about viruses, we often say that viruses are acellular. That means it does not have a cellular structure. Now, how do you say that this thing that you see under the microscope is a cell? It will have some generic characteristics, right? Cell will have a cell membrane, it should have cytoplasm, and it should have a genetic material. Now in this case, viruses don't have a cell membrane, they don't have like a they have genetic material, but they do not have cytoplasm. And we see that they have like a proteinaceous covering, which we call as a capsid, right? So we see that in all these cases, viruses don't really justify the structure of the cell, which is why we say that viruses are normally acellular, but we keep debating whether viruses are living or non-living. So that is one point you need to remember. Yes? Okay. Now we will move on to question number 8, everybody. This is a repeated question, right? This is a repeated question on hybridization. So let me end the previous poll. 4 statements given to us about hybridization, from which you need to tell me which are the correct 2. Ma'am, will there be any more class for grade 10? Tomorrow, 8 p.m. I'll be coming live with 30 most important questions, and I'm coming live again on Friday. So we'll have more classes, don't worry. So students, remember, grade 9 classes will always start at 6 p.m. Grade 9 classes will happen at 6 p.m. on the channel. Grade 10 classes will happen at 8 p.m. Okay? Because we used to do it at 5 p.m. earlier, but we realized many of you have classes, tuitions, or you might just come back from school. So 6 p.m. felt like a better time for all of you. Tanmay, virus is a bacteria and virus is not a bacteria. No, virus and bacteria are 2 different things. They are not the same, okay? I don't think you need poll for this. That's how many times I've asked you this question. Trust me. Ankita ma'am and I together have solved this question 100,000 times. By now you should all be able to give me the answer. Hello Gagan, hello. Okay. Now what is hybridization? We know that hybridization that is there is nothing but crossing of genetically dissimilar plants. Now we know that there are 3 types of hybridizations. What are the 3 types? We have intervarietal, I'm writing short forms to be faster. We have interspecific and intergeneric, right? Now what is intervarietal? When there is a cross between 2 varieties, right? Now in case if you have not understood, make it a point that you all watch my one shot on this video where I've explained what are the characteristics. There's a certain hierarchy, right? So when the cross is between 2 varieties, we call it as intervarietal, right? So no. And when it is between 2 species, right? What are species? Organisms which are so closely related that when they mate, right, or when they come together to reproduce, they will give rise to fertile offsprings, right? Because if they are not closely related, they cannot give rise to fertile offsprings, right? So that's something you need to remember. So in this case, what do we see? If it is between 2 species, it is interspecific. So now in this case, we see that 2 and 4 are incorrect. Now we know that Another technique of improving crop variety is through genetic modification, where we introduce a gene of our genes of desired characteristics into a plant. So we call such organisms as GMO, which is genetically modified organism. Which is why in this case the correct answer is option A, where both 1 and 3 are correct. So well done all of you, well done. Now I have another very interesting question. Question number 9 on your screen now. A nail is inserted in the tree trunk or in the trunk of a tree. So let's visualize this. So there is a tree and we have inserted, let's say, a very long nail 1 meter from the ground level. What is going to happen to the nail after 3 years? So let me give you the poll for this. And I need you, whatever answer you give me, you need to tell me why. You need to tell me why you are giving me that answer. You should not blindly tell me, ma'am, this is the answer. What is the reason behind it? Yes? I will be doing the geography chapters. Don't worry, Shreya. Don't worry. I will be taking it. Okay. Ma'am, how can it move up, down and be at this? Very good. Very good, Asta, Nitish. Who's Dattibayo? Ma'am, bacteria does not have vacuole, Mahesh. No, because it does not have any cell organelles. It has no membrane-bound cell organelles. Very good, Abhimanyu, Mahesh, I think Harpreet. Very good, Harpreet. Johnselin, very good. Srivalli, Jyoti. Ma'am, because trunk doesn't change in size, Jyoti. Okay. Close enough, but not exactly. Okay. Very good, very good. Many of you got the gist of it, but not quite exactly where I wanted the answer to be placed. Now, when you talk about trunk of a tree, right, we see that in the case of a tree trunk, mostly, right, in most cases, again, I know that when you talk about living organisms, there will be some exceptions, but we're talking about a generalized one. We know that we will observe more lateral growth, right? See, it would have attained, vertical growth would be very less, very minimal. In some cases, it will absolutely not happen because it would have no longer apical meristems would be there, or it would have attained its maximum height. And in 3 years, of course, we see that more of lateral growth can be observed rather than vertical growth, right? Which is why in this particular case, it is not going to move upwards. Neither is it going to go downwards, but it will remain at the same position, right? It will remain at the same position because we will not see considerable vertical growth in the 3 years that we have observed. And yes, chances of girth increasing is more rather than the height, which is why the correct answer is C. So many of you got the question correctly, many of you got the gist correctly. Some of you wandered around a little bit here and there with the reason, which is why I wanted you to make sure that the concept is pretty clear, right? Good. Let's move on to question number 10, everyone. Very quickly, we will move on to question number 10. Assertion, reason, question. Yes, our very favorite question. Assertion statement says that local breeds of cattle show excellent resistance against diseases and foreign breed, and they have good lactation. Reason being that local and foreign breeds are hybridized in order to get desired qualities like milk production only. What is the answer to this? Okay. Let me give you the polls. And everyone, quickly, if you're enjoying the objective questions and you're excited for the subjective questions, don't forget to hit the like button on this video. I see very, very few likes. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more such interesting questions, right? See, we constantly strive to make sure that we give you the best and the best only. I know, assertion, reason are, it's slightly tricky, but I always tell you, there's a trick to this. Always look at it as statement 1 and 2, right? So first look whether So 2 steps. Step number 1 is see, look at it as individual statements, right? Whether they are true or false. Now if both are true, we will go into step 2 to see if it is a correct explanation. How do you know if it is a correct explanation? Put a Y after assertion statement and you are good to go. So now we need to do step 1. Step 1 says that local breeds or indigenous breeds of cattle, they have excellent resistance against diseases. Yes, that is the case. And foreign breeds, on the other hand, have good lactation period. Now, what is lactation period? It is the duration up to which the cow can produce milk, right? That is what we call as a lactation period. Now, most foreign breeds have that ability. So, this statement is true. Now, of course, from here, we see that there is hybrid breeds produced. How are hybrid breeds produced? By crossing local and foreign breeds. Now, why do we cross local and foreign breeds? Is it because we want to get only good, good milk, or because there is good lactation period? No, right? We know that one of the disadvantages of having a foreign breed is the fact that they are not able to survive in, let's say, the Indian environment, right? They are not acclimatized or they're not used to it. So they keep falling sick. And we know one very important point, that if cattle are not, healthy, if they keep falling sick, then we know that it will affect the quality of milk. Which is why what do we know, or what do we observe? We observe that hybrid varieties are made so that they are disease resistant and they have good lactation period. What is lactation period? Duration of which they can produce milk, right? So that is what we mean by lactation period. So in this case, what do we see? In this case, we see that is the reason statement true or false? We know that this right here is absolutely false, which is why in this case the answer is option C, where A is true and R is false. So are we clear? Yes, I will speak to the team and we will send it to you. Okay, don't worry. Are we all clear? Abhimanyu, I might take little longer. I might need to take a 5-minute break, but we will finish it off by 7:30. Don't worry. That's my target time, right? How? Because see, when you make hybrid varieties, they are not made only for milk production. It is also because we want to make them disease resistant, right? ठीक है. Very good, all of you. Very, very good. Okay. Don't get distracted with geography and other chapters. You pay attention in bio class, everyone. Question number 11. You can send your doubts. Don't worry. Ignore this. This is incorrectly marked, but nonetheless. Moving on to the next question. This is easy. This is from the cell chapter. I'm sure all of you should give me the answer. Assertion statement says that the amount of material dissolved in water affects the passage of water across the plasma membrane. Reason being, water moves in and out of the cell by the process of osmosis. Okay. Give me the answer, everyone. I have made the poll live. Yes? Hello, Navmi. Hello. Yes, students, stay focused in class. I can see many of you have gotten distracted here. Is this for ICSE? See, cell and tissue chapter works both for CBSE as well as ICSE. But in ICSE, I think 1 or 2 topics for you guys are extra, that's all. But more or less, it's the same. More or less. And actually, CBSE also has some extra topics, but you can use both. Very good. Yes, very good, Anshika. Very good. Okay. Now let's have a look at the assertion reason. The poll is live, so I'm going to quickly start solving, right? The amount of material, that means that if I have a glass of water and the amount of material or the amount of solute that I dissolve in a water affects the movement of water or affects the movement of water across the plasma membrane. Yes, it does, right? Which is why we know that there are different types of solutions. We have hypotonic, hypertonic, so on and so forth. Now, how does this water move in? This water moves in and out of the cell by the process of osmosis. So, in this case, this is also true, which means that C and D are eliminated. So, no. Now, what are we left with? To find out if it is the correct explanation or no, right? Correct explanation or no. The amount of material dissolved in the water affects the passage of water across the plasma membrane. Why? Why does it affect? Is it because water moves in and out of the cell by osmosis, or because ideally the reason should have been that there is difference in concentration of water in two regions? So in this case, if you see, we see that the fact that water moving in and out is not really justifying assertion statement, right? What is the why? The reason why it affects the passage of water is because there is difference in concentration or difference in direction. So is this the correct explanation? No, right? Yeah, it should be direction of water, but it's okay. Whatever, right? Which is why in this case, the correct answer is option B, where both A and R are true, but AR is not the correct explanation, right? So in this case, the correct answer should be option B. And I see many of you here have got the answer to this, right? Majority of you have got the answer, so well done, students. Super proud. But are we clear with how we need to go with the answer? I hope now you are clear. Okay. Very good. Very, very good. Yes. So let's go on to question number 12, everyone. Now during recess, Rehan was having lunch with his friends. One of his friends said that the intestine helps in digestion of food. Rehan's sister was also present there. She asked him to name the tissue which was responsible for the absorption. What is the answer? Very easy peasy. We've already discussed this, right? So I'm sure you should be able to give me the answer now. Okay. We are talking about the tissue which is present in the inner linings. See, we're talking about, see, look at the context. Students giving me the answer is option D. I'm worried. See, we're talking about, see, Rehan and his friends were discussing about intestine and how intestine helps in the digestion of food. Now, Rehan's sister was there, so she was like, okay, you tell me which tissue is found where? In the intestine or the inner linings of the intestine. So, I told you, right? I told you that the inner linings of the intestine, which tissue we find? We find the columnar epithelium, right? We find columnar epithelium on the inner linings of the intestine. Where do we find cuboidal epithelium? Quickly tell me in the chat. Where do we find cuboidal epithelium? We find cuboidal epithelium in the inner linings of the where dash. We find cuboidal epithelium in the inner linings of dash. Small or large intestine. Where does absorption of food takes place? In the large intestine or in the small intestine? It of course takes place in the large intestine, right? I mean small intestine. What do I say? Absorption of food takes place in the small intestine. Very good. Kidney tubules, exactly. We find it in the inner linings of kidney tubules. Very good. Okay. Yes. Well done, well done. Okay. Now let's go on to question number 13. Now again it's from tissues chapter. Now today we have a lot of questions from tissues because you all keep telling that tissues is tough. So we will do active recall and we will get done with it, right? Very good, Soumya. Very good. Thank you, Joginder. Thank you, Soumya. Okay. Hello, Fact Ocean. Very good, Pragya. Awesome. Now we have a diagram given to us and they're asking you what is the main function of the meristematic tissue. Do you really need me to give this poll? Or do you all know the answer? Because, ma'am, this is so easy. Ma'am, answer is well. Yeah, but they're asking you for the tissue, right? What tissue you find in the intestine. I'm not even going to give you poll because you should all give me the correct answer. I should not see anything else. Easy. Very good. Very, very good. We know that meristematic tissue, that is there. The primary function, the main function of the meristematic tissue is to contribute with growth of the plant, which is why we find meristematic tissue in the growing regions. Well done, students. Well done. Now we will quickly move on. I have another assertion reason statement. So here we have assertion reason. So let me give you the poll first. In the meanwhile, all of you have a quick look at the question. Awesome. Assertion statement says that mitochondria is a not are. Yeah, okay, mitochondria are semi-autonomous cell organelles, right? Because of the reason being that mitochondria have their own DNA, but they do not synthesize their own proteins. Lakshmi, I'm doing really good now, much better than how my voice was. If you remember, at one point I just felt like my voice sounded like one frog. It was pretty hoarse, and it was getting a little difficult to speak continuously and take classes, and it's not a good experience for you guys also to listen to a teacher with that kind of a voice. So I took the necessary break that I had to recover, took my medicines, rested, and then I'm back, and did, of course, the treatment. So I had to do a lot of voice exercises. हाँ मैम, सेमी ऑटोनॉमस का मतलब क्या है? Give me the answer, I'll explain what it is. Hello Guru Sanjeev, hello. See, it's okay, I'll explain what is semi-autonomous, but nonetheless give me the answer. Okay, many of you have voted for option C. I'll explain this, don't worry, don't worry. Very good students, very, very good, right? Now, if you look at cell organelles like mitochondria and chloroplast, right? So both mitochondria and chloroplast, we see that they have their own DNA. So we see that they have their own DNA, which means that they have their own ribosomes also, which means that they will synthesize their own proteins. So as much as they are unlike other cell organelles wherein the functioning is controlled by the nucleus, we see that they are almost, it's as good as, chloroplast and mitochondria kind of independent. So they're not entirely independent, but they are partially independent, where they make their own proteins, they do their own business, right? They're like in their own little world, minding their own business and, going about things. So in this particular case, they're saying that mitochondria is a semi-autonomous cell organelle. It is a semi-autonomous cell organelle. Why? Because it has its own DNA and it has its own ribosomes also, right? Which is why in this particular case, what do we observe? We see that they do synthesize their own proteins. So in this case, this statement is false, right? This particular statement is false. मैम NCERT में से ऐसे words use नहीं करते, but exactly. So sometimes what happens is that even though in the NCERT they may have not directly mentioned it, but I'm sure that it is mentioned in my memory of the NCERT. I think it is mentioned that it is semi-autonomous, or the fact that it has its own DNA. Now it's important that all of you know this concept, because they can ask you in the examination as well, right? So students, please, this right here is super duper important, okay? And I can see many of you gave me the correct answers. I'm very proud. Awesome. Now let's go on to question number 15. Ma'am, nahi hai, koi nahi, it's okay. It's important for you to know, right? Okay. No problem, Tanmay, no problem. Very good. Yes, see, that's the point, Grishu, that it's mentioned that it has its own DNA. So it's just a term that I have given it, right? Okay. Now let's have a look. We have two cells given to us, cell A and cell B. You need to tell me what is cell A and cell B. Yes? See, DNA part though you should know. I'm just giving you a little extra information, right? Somebody's selling halwa, is it? Is this question very easy? Okay, so look at cell 1. Cell 1 here is having a spindle shaped structure and it has a nucleus, which means that this right here, of course, cannot be sclerenchyma, cannot be parenchyma, because parenchyma cells are polygonal and or spherical in structure, but they are not spindle shaped, right? So it is not C, it is not A. Now this kind of structure we see in smooth muscles, which is why both B and D have the correct answer. It says A is smooth muscle, which is also known as involuntary muscle, it's known as the unstriated muscle, all of that. Now what do we have? We have option B. Now option B here shows a cell which has thick cell wall and it has no nucleus. It almost looks dead inside. which means that it cannot be cardiac muscle, because cardiac muscle that is there has striations in them. We know that it is uninucleate, nucleus is there, which is why in this particular case, what do we see? The correct answer here is going to be option D, where A here is smooth muscle and B here is sclerenchyma. So well done all of you, well done. So with this, if you see, we have completed 15 objective questions in 1 hour. Now I know that I've slightly taken a little longer than how I would have normally taken for 15 questions, but it is important that all of you are clear with this, right? Yes, this is the LS. It is the longitudinal section of the sclerenchyma. So now everybody, we will be quickly moving on to subjective questions. But before I take up the subjective questions on my behalf, right, because I may have to just take a small 5-minute break, how about we take a small, let's say 3-minute break, right? I'll not take 5 minutes also, but we will take 3 minutes. So we'll take a short break before we get into subjective questions, if you don't mind. So we will take a small break here, right? So it's going to be break time for all of you, and I will resume at 7:05 p.m. So jaldi se everybody go ahead and please make sure that you wash your face, stretch up a little. We'll come back and finish off the remaining 15 questions that we have. Like I said, today's class is going to be slightly longer because we're going to do 30 questions and they're not easy. They're going to be a little complicated. So take the break and we will be back. Yes? It's not bye-bye. Please come back. Okay? Quickly. Okay. Okay, guys, break over. Yes, yes, break is over. I can see that many of you are here. I hope many of you are back. Okay, so very quickly, students, please do let me know. Very quick check if audio, video, everything is good to go. Yes? Everything is clear, no issues. You're all able to hear me well. Monica, tomorrow. I have class with all of you tomorrow. Okay, awesome. So shall we get started, everybody? We have 15 questions. Now I know it's going to be a little far-fetched for me to expect it to be done in half an hour, but like half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe we should be able to finish it off, right? When did I start the live? At about an hour ago. Okay. So let's move on, everyone, to question number 16. Now, I know it's very difficult for all of you to give me complete answers, which is why what I need all of you to do is just give me keywords. It's okay if you're not giving me complete answers and typing it, you can give me the keywords. Yes? Now, this particular question that we have is, what is the utility of tissues in multicellular organisms? Now, this right here is very important, and it's a 2-mark question that can come in your examination, where they'll ask you, why do we need tissues? Why is it that multicellular organisms have these different levels of organization? What is the reason behind it, right? Very good, Grishu, very good. It forms organ. Yes, Bhupesh, but why? Division of labor. Abhiman, very good, I think. Vaishnavi gave me that answer. But Abhimanyu, metabolism, think about it. Is it really for metabolism? Very good, Harpreet. Very good, Parikshita. Very good, Shivagama Sundari. Very good. Yes, Vanshika. Awesome. Good answers coming my way, right? So primarily, right, in multicellular organisms. Now we know that organisms can be broadly divided into two, where we have uni and multi, right? So we have unicellular organisms where their whole body is made up of just a single cell. So we don't observe this different types of cells in them. Their whole body is just one cell. But on the other hand, in multicellular organisms, they are made up of many cells. And in order to make their life easy, what do? See, you imagine if you had 100 people and you had to give instructions to 100 people and you tell them, with a mic saying, okay, all 100 of you do this, do that, do this. It'll be chaotic. It'll be a commotion, right? Which is why if you see even in your group projects and everything, your teachers will tell you either do it individually, or if there's a group project, they'll not give one project for the whole class and say all 40, 45 of you do it. I mean, sometimes it happens, but you know how chaotic it is, which is why they divide you into smaller groups so that you're able to do or work more efficiently, which is why we see that there is division of labor. Now, this also results in higher organization that happens. Now, along with all of this, we see that individual cells will have specific functions to carry out, thereby higher chances of survival, right? So when you say utility of tissue, means why are there tissues? What is the use of tissues, right? So which is why in this particular case, when you're writing the answer, if it comes for 2 marks, you can write 2 points. Comes for 3 marks, you can write 3 points also, right? So we see that division of labor so that different cells can carry out different functions. Thereby they will organize at various levels. Tissues will organize to form organs, organs to organ systems to carry out important broad functions. And we see that the workload of an individual cell will become lesser. Thereby what will happen? Individual cells will get more specialized and carry out specific functions. Then of course higher chances of survival, because why? They become more efficient, right? The more efficient you are, the better you will be able to survive. So that is why end May it is all about survival. This particular I will be sharing this with you all on the Telegram channel, so no, don't worry about this. The PDF will be shared at the end of the class. Yes? Okay. So we'll get moving on to question number 17, everybody. Easy peasy lemon squeezy question on what will happen if there is no lysosome in the cell. 2 marks. Okay, ma'am, can you wait before changing? Yeah, I'll go back. If you want to take a screenshot, you can quickly take a screenshot, or else you can always, write it down later at your own pace. Shall I move on to the next one? Very good, students. Very, very good. I see answers coming my way. Telegram link, description of this video. What will happen? So I'm going to go to the next one, question number 17. what will happen if there is no lysosome in the cell, right? What will happen? Which means if you're writing it for 2 marks, the first point should be about what does lysosome do. First point is what does lysosome do? Then you should tell me what will happen if there is no lysosome. So this is how you write answers for 2 marks. This is how your teacher is going to give you on your mark distribution. Directly if you say if lysosome is not there, this is what is going to happen. She'll give you marks, but then that is not a proper way of writing. Sometimes she will also cut marks. How many of you have given the correct answer but still got 1.5? Everything is pakka. Everything is pakka, but still you got only 1.5. You don't know where that other half mark went also. And you are thinking to the gods and asking, where did these marks go? What did I do? I've written everything, but still I am not getting full marks. That is probably because of this very reason, that this is how your teacher is going to correct, right? She is looking for these things. So your keywords here are, what is the function of lysosome? What will happen if there is no lysosome? So we know that lysosomes are often known as the suicide bags of the cell, right? And we know that they are responsible of getting rid of any kind of unwanted materials, toxic substances, right? So we often call it as the waste basket or the waste disposal system that is there. Now what will happen if there is no waste disposing system that is there in the cell? So if there are no suicide bags, what will happen? If there are some damages to the cell, or if there are certain toxic substances that enter, they will not be removed. And if they are not removed, it can harm us more, right? Which is why in this case, we see that lysosome, like you say, the first thing, what is the function of lysosome? They digest any foreign material that enter because they have digestive enzymes in them. In their absence, the waste will accumulate, thereby causing harmful effects. And we also know that if the lysosomes are not there, it can have detrimental effects on the body. Very good, Sapna. Very, very good, right? Which is why in this case, you will get 2 marks for telling me what will happen. Yes, you can write that down as well, Grishu, that there will be no breakdown of complex substances. In this particular case, when you say complex, it is more along the lines of the fact that your unwanted substances will not be removed. Accumulate means it will pile up. Accumulate means it will pile up. So think of it as if if the garbage bhaiya, the BBMP garbage man who comes, right, in the van when he collects garbage from the neighborhood. So imagine if he doesn't come for 1-2 weeks. What will happen to all the waste? That will all pile up, right? And we know that eventually piling up waste is not good because it will be harmful, have toxic effects on our environment. Similarly, think of it at a cellular level, right? Okay. Now let's go on to our next question. Yes, next question, which is Mohan told his friend Deepak, who runs a poultry farm, that broiler production is indeed a solution to increase the production of nutritious animal protein food. Now, support Mohan's view by listing any 4 factors that is needed to be considered for broiler production. So now in this particular case, they are telling you all the story. But end में what are they asking you? They're telling you what should we consider when we do poultry farming, specifically for broilers, right? Now, if you look at your textbook also, they have mentioned very clearly about how for poultry farming, there are certain nutrient requirements for broilers. Then we also know that there are certain hygienic conditions that are required in order to maintain them, right? So this is what we need to look at. So everybody, do you all have your textbooks open with you? Do you all have your textbooks open with you? If you do, go to poultry farming, and under poultry farming, look at the paragraph where they talk about shelter and nutrition. Now, Sapna, is broiler for egg or is broiler for meat, right? Very good. So the answer is mainly that part. So star mark, if you have your textbook, just star mark it. If not, go back later and do that. So under poultry, you have those 2 paragraphs which are there. So first and foremost, we know that hygiene condition wise, we know that of course, the place where we grow the broilers should be kept hygienic. It should be ventilated, and we should make sure that we vaccinate them regularly so that it can, be protected from diseases and pests, because end of the day we are going to be consuming the meat, right? Which is why ensuring that they are protected from pests and insects are very important. Now, along with this, if you look at the diet, right? So if you look at the diet, we see that diet wise, broilers will have a protein and fat rich diet. Yes, and along with that, they will also have a lot of vitamins in them, especially vitamin A and K. So in this case, their diet should have proteins, fat, vitamins such as A and K, along with various micronutrients, right? Ma'am, importance of feathering and carcasses, yeah, that line is also important, so you can just highlight that point as well, right? Abhimanyu, that is also important. Okay. So with this, of course, everyone, when you're writing it, write down these pointers. So making sure that good ventilation. So I'm just going to write it separately. So it should have good ventilation, hygienic space. Then, of course, we discussed about its nutritional requirements. You can mention that right down. And last but not the least, you can also write down more about how we need to ensure that, it's given the right amount of, it's given the proper space, and of course we give it proper diet and protection from pests and diseases. Yes? Okay. So let's move on, everybody. So we will quickly go on to question number 19, right? Okay, I am reading your answers, DG Gamer. Many of you are saying, ma'am, you are not reading your answers, but I am reading your answers. But like I said, I don't want you all to type the entire answer because I know that will be difficult, which is why I have made sure that when I see the keywords, I know that most of you are all along the right line. But I'm sorry if you wanted me to, ask us to. Okay, fine. ठीक है. Describe the microscopic structure of cell. Okay, DG Gamer, give me the answer for this. Awesome. Let's move on, everyone, and tell me. Ma'am, कभी-कभी NCERT से बाहर भी आ जाता है. I know, but don't get panicked about the fact that it's coming out of NCERT, right? But most of it, see, they'll not ask you something that you've not studied at all. At some point, you would have studied it. So don't worry. Structure of cell. Who is telling cell has no shape? Somebody is telling me, I have a question on that. Yes, very good. Bubbly, pile up is not to collect, but pile up is when it goes one on top of the, in one way it is like collecting. I will explain this. I clearly see some wrong answers coming my way. That's why I'm a little worried. Students, have they asked you, describe the microscopic structure of cell when it was discovered? 1. Or have they asked you to write about the discovery of cell at this point? Have they asked you to write that? Or have they just asked you that what is the basic structure of a cell, right? What is the basic structure of a cell? So if I take any cell, I take plant cell, I take animal cell, I take bacteria, what will I see? What is the basic structure? Yes? So in this particular case, when you all kept telling me, ma'am, there is a honeycomb like, it looks like a small room, it has this kind of a structure. That is what was observed under the microscope by Robert Hooke, right? So Robert Hooke observed conch cells under the microscope and he saw that it had an honeycomb-like appearance. It reminded him of small rooms in a monastery. Hence, he coined the term cell. But over time, we have gotten to know about the structure of the cell, and if we look at the basic structure of the cell, what do we see? The basic structure has It has an outer covering or an outer boundary, which is the cell membrane that separates the outside and the inside of the cell. It has a nucleus which consists of a genetic material. There are some which have well-defined nucleus, some which don't have a well-defined nucleus. Then of course there is cytoplasm, right, which is a jelly-like fluid which has some important substances, right? Now in this particular case, we see that there are certain cells which also have small little organelles or cell organelles that carry out specific functions. So in this particular case, what do we see? We see that a basic structure of the cell will have plasma membrane, it will have cytoplasm, and it will have nucleus that has the genetic material. Now nucleus can be well defined or it can be not properly defined, and in the case of bacteria we call it as, let's say, a nucleoid region. Now this right here can come for 3 marks, because what is the basic 3 components? Plasma membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. And in eukaryotic cells we see that there are membrane bound cell organelles. So for students who gave me the answer of honeycomb like structure, you might lose marks. Why? Because they are not asking you about discovery of cell. They are not asking you how did the microscopic structure of the cell look like when Robert Hooke observed it. They are asking you what is the basic structure. So you need to know this. Are we clear? Are we clear with what is the answer? Yes? Are we all clear? For many of you who are still giving me the answer along the lines of honeycomb, I hope you are all clear. Give me a quick CC in the chat. Yes? Give me CC to let me know that we're good to go. Okay. Well done. Super proud, okay? Hearts and love for all of you, right? Very good. Very, very good. Okay. CGPA system is there, but see, CGPA system also end-made based on marks only. I didn't have CGPA when I was in school, but I had it when I was in college. Okay. ये NCERT से बाहर नहीं है. Who is this? Somebody who, whenever we don't want to give correct answer, it is outside NCERT. No. Question number 20, everyone. This is very simple. While watching the Discovery Channel, Shiva saw that whales, polar bears and seals have thicker layers of subcutaneous fat in order to survive in tough regions. Explain how the survival of such animals is related to the presence of subcutaneous fat. Remember, this question is a short question. How many of you have got a very similar question in your examination? Yes? How many of you have got very similar questions? Now, this question that you see right here is an example of a competency-based question. See, it's not complicated, okay? Don't always think that competency means complicated. No. Competency means that they will give you a situation or they will give you some kind of, maybe some kind of context from which you need to give me the answer, right? Okay. Guru Sanjeev, do you want to get timed out? Looks like it. I always tell you there is a certain way to stay in class, right? Okay. So now in this particular case, what do we see? We know that in the case of polar bears or in the case of whales, we see that the subcutaneous fat. What is subcutaneous? Subcutaneous means under the skin, right? Sub means under, cutaneous means skin. So they are present underneath the skin. Now normally all of us have subcutaneous fat, but in the case of these animals, it is much thicker. Why? Because fat that is there or fat tissue is nothing but adipose tissue. And adipose tissue, as we know, not just acts as a shock absorber, but also acts as an insulator, right, Grishu? Shouldn't it be the fact that it acts as an insulator be the answer? Shock absorber is one thing. But why is it helpful for animals living in cold or extreme conditions? It keeps them warm. How? Because it acts as an insulator, right? And thereby what? Thereby prevents heat loss from the body, right? So in the case of animals, I'll not say cold-blooded, but in the case of animals like fishes, polar bears, they have a thicker layer, right? They have a thicker layer of subcutaneous fat to maintain body temperature. So you need to give me these 2 points in order to get full marks here, right? Okay. Very good, students. Very, very good. Super proud. So shall we move on to the next one? Very good, Dhwani. Harshvardhan, stimuli is any agent Any external agent that brings about a response or change in our body. But if you're a 10th grader, you come tomorrow and ask me all your 10th standard doubts. Yes? Very good. So shall we move on? Shall we move on to the next one? What is membrane biogenesis? Okay, this is 1 mark for you here to tell me what is membrane biogenesis. How is plasma membrane formed during this process? You will give me 2 marks here. So totally this particular question is for 3 marks. So you will have to tell me what is membrane biogenesis. Very good Bhupesh, very good Hema. Formation of plasma membrane with the help of lipids and proteins from ER. Very good. Very good Abhimanyu. Yes. Give me crisp answers. It's fine. You don't need to go in detail. Beautiful, beautiful. Answers coming my way and I can see good answers, right? Okay. So what is membrane biogenesis? It's there in the name. So membrane biogenesis is the formation of cell membrane or formation of plasma membrane. Now, how is the plasma membrane formed? We know that the ERs have a very important role to play. Now, the rough endoplasmic. So, we have the rough endoplasmic reticulum and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Now, the plasma membrane or the cell membrane is made up of a phospholipid bilayer, right? It has a phospholipid bilayer along with various proteins. So we see that the ER, both SER and RER help in synthesizing your proteins and lipids, which have an important role, right? So we know that that is necessary for forming a plasma membrane. But it is not that from the ER it will directly go. It has to first go to the Golgi complex, because we know that the Golgi complex or the Golgi apparatus is like the post, like a post office, right? I always call it, and actually both Ankita ma'am and I call it as the post office of the cell. Now from here, from the post office, it will then get transported. Your lipids, your proteins, they will then get transported all the way to where they need to reach. Which is why we see that how is it formed? Don't just mention about RER and SER, put 1 point on your Golgi apparatus also, right? Because I say directly to not from RER, chara bye bye proteins, I will go directly to where I need to go. No. Once they are formed, they need to maybe undergo some modifications or they won't know where to go. So that responsibility that is there is that of the Golgi apparatus, right? Which is why if you lose or if you don't write about Golgi apparatus, chances are you may lose marks. Yes? Okay. So membrane biogenesis is the formation of the cell plasma membrane. Let's make it easy. Proteins and lipids are synthesized by RER and SER, then transported to Golgi for modification and transport. Then from Golgi, they will fuse with cell membrane and become a part of it, right? So if you write this, I will give you 3 marks for this. Dipanshu, are you in 10th standard? First you tell me that. Okay. So let's move on, everyone. Shall we move on to question number 22? Yes, can you give me a quick CC in the live chat to let me know? Ma'am, why should we study about cell? Why should we not, what is the point? So if you look at it from various research perspectives on as you come to your higher grades, right? Things like how, for example, during COVID, we had to get a vaccine. But the fact that how does our body react to a vaccine? Or what are the parts that are involved? For all that, you need to have a basic knowledge of cell. Right? So which is why having basic understanding of biology is very important. You can't just be like, I learn only physics and chemistry and I never need to know about biology. So it's important that you are clear about the biology aspect so that you are well informed, right? Very good. Any of you saying CC? Very good. Next up is a sure short question from tissues, wherein you need to tell me and differentiate between meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Yes? So quickly, can you tell me the difference between the two? Bani, I know I was MIA for a month almost. Yeah, for almost closer to a month because I had laryngitis. So I was very sick. I couldn't speak. So had to rest, come back healthy so that at least during I didn't want to miss the final exam time, right? Because now is the time when, you would need classes and I would want to be teaching you and helping you and giving you a lot of tips and tricks. So now I'm back. Very good. See, this question will come for 2 marks. This can come for 3 marks. This can come for 5 marks also, right? So, based on the marks, you will have to write the points as well. So, now we have meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Now, when you talk about meristematic tissue, they are all living cells, right? They are all made up of living cells, and they are all constantly dividing. So we see that they are constantly dividing, and of course we see that they have a very simple structure. They have no vacuoles in them, right? So they absolutely have no vacuoles. And of course we see that they have very thin cell wall, which is made up of cellulose. While on the other hand, your permanent tissue, they are made up of non-dividing cells. That means that these cells have lost the ability to divide either temporarily or permanently. And we see that not all the cells are living. Some are living, some are dead. And we see that they are not simple tissues. Some can be simple while some can be complex. Now they are made up of thick cell wall. Now in this case also we see that some cell walls are made up of cellulose, while other cell walls have deposition of pectin or lignin, right? Which is why in this particular case you can write these pointers down. Now if it is for 5 marks, then you can write it in this aspect. If it is for 2 marks, write 2 points. If it's for 3 marks, write 3 points. You can give examples also to support your answer, because that's something I will always recommend, because it gives the teacher a feeling that you know what you are writing. It's not something that you've blindly memorized and you're writing, right? Okay, very good, students. What is simple tissue? Simple tissue means that they are made up of the same kind of cells. Complex means they are made up of different kinds of cells that come together, but they achieve the same function, right? Okay, very good, Dhwani, very good. Hello, Daksh. Awesome, very good. Check your spellings, because sometimes you will lose marks for spelling also, dividing spelling. So Dhwani, focus on that, okay? Shall we move on? We move on to question number 23, everyone. Okay. Hi Austin, hi Ashu. Ma'am, cell wall of parenchyma is thicker than meristematic tissue. I am not very sure, but it should slightly be, because parenchyma also has the ability to provide certain structural support. So it can be slightly thicker than your meristematic tissue. Yes? Okay. So I'm just going to go back and give all of you take a screenshot in case. Ma'am, spelling mistake mein kitna number katega? Half mark to 1 mark depending upon the keyword. See, if it's a keyword and you make spelling mistake, 1 mark gone. But if it's small words, you may lose half mark. And that too, sometimes teachers might cut it collectively also. Okay. No problem. It's okay, Abhimanyu. Last few questions. Let's go on to question number 23. So there's a muscle given to us. You need to tell me what type of muscle it is, right? So here you have to write 2 structural features. 2 marks for this. State the location, 1 mark. 1 mark for telling me what will happen if these muscles undergo fatigue. Okay, very good. This is cardiac tissue. Now give me 2 characteristics of cardiac tissue. 2. Very good. They are branched, right? So we see that they are branched. What else? Stratified. Okay, yeah, they have striations in them. Fine. What else? How many nuclei are there? Are they Very good, Hema. Very good. Yes. So they are uninucleate. Write any 2, you will get 2 marks. Yes? Very good. They also have intercalated discs which are present. So you need to write any 2, but I'm just listing down all your answers on screen. Not multinucleated, Pahal, it is uninucleate. Remember that. Yes? And it is involuntary muscle. Okay, I'll give it to you. It is an involuntary muscle. Okay, next up. So any 2 you write, I'll give you 2 marks. State the location. Where do we find it? So this is for A. What is for B? Where will I find this? Simple. Cardiac muscles are present in the heart. Now the next one is, what will happen if they undergo fatigue? Now what do we mean by fatigue? Fatigue means what if the cardiac muscles become tired? Who said near the heart? Who has given me the answer as near the heart? You will lose marks. Don't. See, near the heart is different. Near the heart means if this is my heart, my cardiac muscle is here. No, the heart is made up of the cardiac muscle. So remember that. You all are very blunt. You're just sending me skull emojis and you're just like, we will die. We will not die per se, right? But it will stop pumping the blood which in turn can have drastic effects on our body, right? Can cause heart attack, or it can lead to death as well, right? Okay. Yes. Ma'am, it will not get tired. Yes, it will not get tired, but they're saying what if it gets tired, right? So that is what we mean by that. So again, you have 2 marks for telling me these, 2 marks here, 1 mark for this, 1 mark for this, and a total of 4 marks you will be able to get it. Yeah. So basically, if it gets tired, it will reduce the pumping capacity. If pumping capacity becomes less, then oxygen supply to different parts of our body will become less. If oxygen supply becomes less, then we will start experiencing fatigue all throughout our body. And in some cases, it can cause suffocation. We'll not be able to breathe properly. So all of that can become a little tricky. I mean, all of that can in turn, on a drastic effect, lead to death, right? Okay. Now, yeah, fatigue means tired. It means tired. It will slow down. So here we see that the heart, that's what I said. Like I said, the whole process. What will happen if it undergoes fatigue? Then we see that if it becomes tired, it will slow down. Actually, I'm going to change this. It will slow down the pumping of blood, right? It will slow down the pumping of the blood to different parts of the body, which in turn will reduce the oxygen supply, right? It will reduce the oxygen supply to the cells because now it has become slow. So oxygen was earlier reaching at a faster pace, but now it's going very slow. Yes? So are we clear with this? Are we clear? Can you give me a quick CC in the live chat? My name is Aishwarya. Ashu, then you have to practice more, right? You have to practice more. So this answer I am changing to this, okay? Okay. You will get Chinnu. You will get marks for that. Awesome. Let's go on to question number 24. Now question number 24 is pretty interesting. It's from improvement in food resources. So the first one is, why should preventive methods and biological control methods be preferred for protecting crops? Now this here is for 1 mark. Second part is, name the farming system in which only the above mentioned methods are followed. 1 mark. How does manure improve the soil structure? You will get 1 mark for this. So a total of 3 marks for the same. Now they're asking you, in crop protection management, we use biological control methods and we use preventive methods also. Now why should we do this, right? Very good. For preventing damage of the produced crops, yes. But shouldn't you also be telling me why specifically biological control methods? Very good, Hema. Yes, I'll wait for 1 or 2 more answers. Very good, JP. Very good. More answers my way. Very good, Harpreet. Close enough, Harpreet, but you'll also have to tell me a little bit about what plants. You have to tell me not plants, but you'll have to tell me crops, right? Very good, Chinnu, but that's the answer for the second one. Awesome. Navmi and every of you are giving me the answers. Yes, Oju is also giving me the answer. Yes, awesome. So now we're talking about why should we use preventive methods and biological methods, right? Now one of the many reasons, I'm just going to go to this slide. We see that they are preferred because they are not poisonous in nature, right? And along with that, we see that these methods are ecologically safe and they do not harm life forms. Because if we end up using, let's say, a lot of pesticides, weedicides, then we're increasing how much chemicals we are spraying at the crops. And end of the day, we are the ones consuming it as well. Which is why it is important that we should use preventive methods or we should use biological control methods because they are ecologically safe. It protects the crop and we get good quality crop as well, right? Okay. Now, what is this farming system where we use no chemicals? So by this we have realized that we are not using any chemicals and we are using natural preventive methods. What is this kind of farming system called as, where we use no chemicals whatsoever? Very good, just a minute. Okay. Very good, Navmi. Ashanvita, very good. Yes, very good. Amresh, Tanmay, Navami, Neetu, very good. This kind, Khushi is also given me the answer. This kind of method is what we call as organic farming. What is organic farming? Where we use minimal chemicals and maximum input of organic manure. Now the last part of the question is, how does manure improve soil structure, right? How does manure improve soil structure? So we know that manure that is there, right? So let me go to the next slide. Manure that is there is basically again obtained naturally, right? So we see that it enriches the soil with nutrients and also it improves soil structure. So when we add it to sandy and clayey soil, we see that all the organic matter and everything that is present in it improves the organic structure, improves the soil structure. Then along with that, we also see that it improves the water holding capacity of the sandy soils. Because if you know from chemistry, we know that there's something called as a percolation rate. And in sandy soil, the percolation rate is more. But when you add manure to it, we see that the percolation rate reduces. Thereby, more water is now being held by the soil, right? So thereby, it improves the soil quality, soil fertility as well. So in this case, if you see, you will get one mark for each. Sometimes some teachers might give you 2 marks for the second one, but nonetheless, right? Based on that, you can write, based on the marks, you can write the answer. Okay? Very good, all of you. Very good, Pokemon lovers. Very good. Yes, awesome. Okay, so now with this, we are done with question number 24. Are we feeling confident? Are we feeling confident about these questions? Because if you see, they are not all direct questions. They're slightly indirect questions. They are questions which will make you think a little bit. You can't just directly look at the question and give the answer. You'll have to think a little bit about what the answer is going to be. Now, if you enjoyed this particular class, right, don't forget to like the video, and of course, towards the end, don't forget to let me know in the comments of this video that which question was the most interesting. That, Arey ma'am, ye question was brilliant, right? Because that will really give a lot of motivation for our team as well to make more and more such, I would say, interesting classes on YouTube, right? Now, secondly, of course, students, don't forget, if you enjoy the way we teach, go ahead and download the BYJU'S app as well, because therein you'll get more practice. So do check that out. It's, of course, free. So many features are there. It'll help you with revision. So go ahead and check out the BYJU'S app. And last reminder for everyone on registering for the free webinar. Quick reminder, it's happening on the 4th of Feb. Saurabh sir is taking it, right? So I'm just going to give you a quick reminder and then we'll go to the last few questions. So webinar, which is a free webinar that is happening on the 4th of Feb. 2 sessions are happening. We have one at 11 a.m. and one at 12:30. Now, of course, this is a webinar which is going to be, right? This right here is a webinar which is going to be on maximizing your confidence, helping you get revision strategies. So here, just to remind you, we see that there is a Hindi session which is happening first. So you can watch this particular, I would say, webinar with your parents, and we'll be taking it in Hindi as well as in English. And you can definitely solve a lot of queries and doubts that you have with respect to revision on the same. On which platform? Link is in the description of this video. Jaldi, go click that link and register. It is free. Free. Go ahead and watch it, right? Okay. So now, of course, we will move on, right? Ayushi, that was just a reminder. Wanted to take a quick break and give you a reminder. No need to get very defensive about that. So we'll go on to question number 25, right? Okay. Now, question number 25 here is a, you know, this is the question. They have decided to take the question like this, right? Now, belonging to a rural family background, Jaspreet, while enjoying coconut water with her friend Seema, told her that it was very difficult to pull out the husk of the coconut tree, of the coconut, right? To which Seema replied that it is due to the presence of sclerenchyma. Now, can you support this statement by Seema by giving me a suitable reason? So, for Neetu and Sangam's question, I will give you the answer, right? Okay. Yes. Now, can you tell me the answer? Nazir has given the answer. Navmi, presence of sclerenchyma, yes. But now you have to tell me how sclerenchyma is helping me. So, what is this question actually about? The question here is actually asking you about the characteristics of sclerenchyma. So how is it that sclerenchyma is providing, or when she is telling that it was very difficult to pull the husk of the coconut, why is it that it's sclerenchyma? Why can't it be collenchyma? Why can't it be parenchyma? Or why can't it be xylem or phloem? So that is what they are asking you here. So let's have a look, right? See, what is sclerenchyma? Sclerenchyma is a type of simple permanent tissue that we find in certain parts of the plant. Where do we find it? In the hard coating of seeds. We find it as a part of vascular bundles and in the outer coverings, like in the case of coconut. Now, why is it that we find sclerenchyma in such locations? Because the primary function of sclerenchyma is to provide mechanical support, right? The main function is to provide support. Now, how is sclerenchyma able to provide that? So, firstly, we see that they are made up of, sclerenchyma are made of long, narrow cells, right? And these cells are not living, but these cells are dead. Now, they have a cell wall, but these cell walls have depositions of lignin in it. So, we say that they are lignified cell walls. Now, many of you are asking me, what is lignin? Lignin is a type of chemical substance like your cellulose or pectin. It is a kind of chemical substance which is found that makes it very hard and rigid. So if I am saying that lignin, or rather sclerenchyma, provides rigidity, it is because of this lignin that is present. So you need to remember that, right? So we see that it has thick lignified cell walls, it has absolutely no intercellular space, and it has a narrow lumen, which is why in this particular case, sclerenchyma, or why sclerenchyma is found in the husk of coconut, because it has thick lignified cell wall which provides mechanical support, and along with this we see that it provides rigidity. Hence, we see that it is difficult to pull out the husk of the coconut, because the husk of the coconut is made up of sclerenchyma. Yes, so this kind of question, as big as it seems, is just going to be for 2 marks. Simple, right? Very good, Dhwani. Lignin spelling check karo, because again it is wrong, right? So remember, questions like this is what we mean by competency questions, where it is simple, but you need to understand what they are asking you, right? Ma'am, which chapter of science is most important? Anshika, as per my knowledge in biology, I would say that cell and tissue holds maximum weightage. So please go through cell and tissue in great detail. But in case if you have improvement, it's a big chapter, but it's easy. If you don't have improvement, then it's these 2 only. Totally only 3 chapters are there. Ma'am, narrow lumen function. See, narrow lumen function per se, it is just so that it can be arranged, and like if you think about it, right? Those structures that are there mainly sometimes may be helping in the arrangement of it, right? Okay. Now let's go on to question number 26, everyone. Right? So question number 26. What is crop variety, or what is crop? Let me change the stem. Why is crop variety improvement important in cultivation? Describe the factors for which or why crop variety improvement is done. Now, how many of you have your textbook where under crop variety improvement, there's that whole list of why we do crop variety improvement, right? Yeah, more or less, Grishu, more or less. So we know that crop variety improvement is done so that end of the day I can get higher yield. Very good. To increase production or to get higher yield, to get improved quality, to get disease resistant plants, and of course to make sure that along with this I am able to get my desired agronomical characters, right? So good quality seeds, making sure that I'm, end of the day, whatever I do, right? Let's say if I'm growing it for fodder, then there are certain characteristics because of which I will be able to grow those plants, right? So in the case of fodder crops, we see that it is tall plants are advisable, or they are more preferred. For cereals, shorter plants are preferred, and whatever I want, I am able to get that, so that I am also getting my desired agronomical characters. What are agronomical characters? What I am actually growing the crop for, right? So that is what we mean by that. So thereby, for crop variety improvement, you can write down on all these pointers. Why am I? So it is not what, but rather it is why do we do crop variety improvement. For all these reasons, right? This can come for 3 marks, this can come for 5 marks. But end of the day, we want to get good yield, more crops, we want to get good quality crops. I want to be able to get resistance also. Should not be like there is one flood or some pest came and my crop died. No, it should have resistance to pest, it should have resistance to maybe let's say less water, right? Wider adaptability in that manner, right? So you can write all these pointers down in a very concise manner as you see right here and talk about growing them faster, reducing the maturity period so that they are able to grow faster and wider adaptability as well. So if it comes for 5 marks, 5 points that you will have to write. Yes? Okay. Done? Are we feeling confident? Good to go? Is it CC? CC means crystal clear. Somebody was asking me, ma'am, what is CC? You keep asking. Ma'am, this came in the previous exam. This is a very commonly asked question. See, they'll ask you, why are we doing this? Why are you studying this? So it's important for all of you to know what this means, right? Okay, last 3 questions and we'll be done actually. Now we have a very simple question. Confidence level is over the roof. That is what I want, right? Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is question number 27. So while gardening, Ranjan actually cut the upper part of the rose plant. He got very scared that he would get scolded by his father. What is the reason? Ranjan was gardening. Now he cut the upper part of the plant. Okay, he cut the upper part of his rose plant. So this is my rose plant. And Ranjan has accidentally cut the upper part. Chish. Now what is the reason? He got scared. Hello Abhinaya, hello. Ma'am, out of syllabus question. It's not out of syllabus, it's competency. Very good students, very good. Oh, for grade 8, yeah, it is out of syllabus. Okay. I can see the answers. I'll answer your question, JP, in just some time, right? Awesome. So now, of course, we know that when he's cut the upper parts, he has cut the tip of the shoot. So if he has cut the tip of the shoot, then which tissue has he cut? He has cut the apical meristem. So why was he worried? Because he cut the apical meristem, he thought that his plant is no longer going to grow and his father is going to scold him for the same, that now my plant is no longer going to grow, which is why he was worried. So in this case, we know that the apical meristem is found in the tips of root, shoot and in the root and shoot. And of course, we know that this contributes to the increase in height, right? Apical meristem contributes to the increase in height. Because he cut it, we see that he was a little afraid that the plant will stop growing in length, which is why he was afraid that his father would scold him for the same. So here what do we need to do? You need to write 1 mark. Yeah, this is for 2 marks. 1 mark for telling me why he was afraid. 1 mark for telling me about the function of the apical meristem. So are we clear? This is very simple and easy question, right? Very easy, very direct, but think about it. Think about it as to how these questions can come in your examination. Just give me one moment, students. Is everything okay? Students? Is all okay now? Right? All okay? Okay. Good, fine. I think in between we just experiencing it. Ma'am, how to draw? You don't draw, but learn how to draw. Okay, I'll teach you how to draw. So remember, the way I draw it is the way you need to, do it. Okay. So now let's have a look on explaining the structure of the neuron and with the help of the label diagram. Harsh, you pay attention in class. Don't get distracted. Now, when you draw the neuron, always think of it as a tree, right? That's the easiest way where I, the easiest way that I do it. So first, you draw one star like this, okay, kind of a star. So you draw, I think my drawing skills have gone for a toss. Yeah, draw a star. Then from here you take one long line and then you add these bricks on top of it. Yes, add these bricks in this manner. Now once you do this, don't do it till the very end. Once you do this, finish it off with 3 small bulbs. Then from here, from each pointy end, draw branches, right? So draw branches which go in the outward manner. You can draw it however you want to and draw it in the center. There you go. You have a neuron or a nerve cell ready. Now all you need to do is to make it a point that you label it properly. So here, as you all know, you need to label the dendrite, cell body, nucleus, axon, axon terminals, more than enough. Extra pointers you will get for myelin sheath and node of Ranvier. Now when you explain the structure of the neuron, you know that neuron is an elongated cell which has a cell body, and the cell body consists of a prominent nucleus. Now from the cell body, we see that there are cytoplasmic projections called as dendrites and one very long projection called as axon. Now the axon ends in axon terminals. Now what is the main function? The main function of the dendrite is to receive impulses from another neuron or from, let's say, specialized cells called as receptors, and we see that from the dendrites, we see that the impulse or the message is passed through the neuron to the next, right? Which is why in this case we see that you need to write the entire structure. Diagram alone will not suffice because they're asking you to explain the structure. So you will have to explain it. Not the function of it, but the structure of it, right? Yes, Purvi, this week, maybe my premiered videos might come, but next week say I'll be live, okay? What is synapse? Synapse is the fine gap that is present between the axonal end of one neuron and the dendritic end of the other neuron, okay? Awesome. Now last 2 questions, these are going to be case-based questions, okay? So these are case-based questions which we will solve. There are just 2 more, yes? 2 more and we are done. Ma'am, is it sheet or sheath? It is sheath. It is not myelin sheet. It is myelin sheath, okay? Okay, I told you, no, this neuron wala thing is very, very important. Ma'am, upper part is collectively known as cyton. Yeah, this whole part is collectively known as cell body because the dendrites arise from it, right? Ashmita, reflex arc and everything in tomorrow's class, okay? Yes, yes. Now I'll finish my class in maybe 5 minutes and Kriti ma'am's class will anyway start, so not to worry. She's taking 10th standard anyway. Now let's have a look at question number 29, students. This is a very important case question. So there was a dinner party which was organized at Anu's home. She was helping her mother in arranging things. She had to put bundi in curd to make bundi raita. But as she was going to sprinkle salt on her salad, her mother stopped her from doing this. And she said it's too early to sprinkle salt on a salad. This has to only be done when the guests are seated. Now the first question is, when salt is added to the salad, what property of salt is observable here? Now think about it. This is a practical application of what you have studied, right? So it's a practical application here. Very good. Salt will become water, is it? Salt is going to become water? Or what is going to happen? Avnoor, Arshmam is going to come with one huge, amazing class for all of you. She has this awesome class plan. She's going to be coming very soon. Don't worry. It will absorb the moisture. It will do diffusion. Salt will melt. Salt is going to melt. What will happen? We know that when salt is added to a solution, right, it will make a particular solution hypertonic, right? We see that it will create a difference in concentration. Now normally your salad that is there will have, like our salads will have cucumber in it, right? Now when you look at cucumber, it has a lot of water in it. Now when salt is added, what does it do? It creates a concentration difference, right? So now it creates a concentration difference. So what property of salt? There is a difference in concentration. Yes? So since salt has less water content, it behaves as a hypertonic agent. Or what do we observe? We see that in this particular case, it acts as a hypertonic solution, thereby making cells lose water through osmosis. Specifically, which kind? X-osmosis, right? It seems like cosmos, so X-osmosis. Yes? Very good. 1 mark for this. Now part B. Part B is now Anu's father has asked her what is the difference between osmosis and diffusion. What should her reply be? Now, what is the reply? Many of you have this confusion yourself. What is the difference between osmosis and what is the difference between diffusion? ठीक है Harsh, you pay attention in class. Very good. Solute solvent, Grishu. Not yet. I would say there's a little more to it, right? Very good, Harpreet. Very good. So what is diffusion? So I'm just going to speed it up a little bit, right? So diffusion is nothing but movement of molecules, right? It is the movement of molecules from a region of its higher concentration to a region of its lower concentration across a concentration gradient. Whether a semi-permeable membrane is present or absent doesn't really matter. It does not matter for diffusion. While osmosis is a type of diffusion, you could say, where there is movement of solvent molecules. So we see that there is movement of solvent molecules or water molecules from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration across a semi-permeable membrane, right? So what is the difference? Mainly we see that diffusion is from high concentration to low concentration and does not matter if semi-permeable membrane is there or no. Whereas in osmosis, it is mainly for solvent molecules where it goes from a region of high concentration to low concentration across semi-permeable membrane. You will have to, right? Very, very important. You will have to write this pointer down. Yes? Thank you so much, Avnoor. That's such a sweet, sweet comment. It would mean the world to us if you could actually drop it in the comments of this video so that I could share it with my team, right? Very good, Harsh. Very good. Exactly. Okay. Now let's go on to the last one. What will happen when Anu sprinkles the salt over salad? You have to again. No problem. Afreen, really sorry. I will check it. Now what will happen when Anu sprinkles the salt over the salad? Easy, right? What is going to happen when she sprinkles salt? We know that there will be exosmosis where there is movement of water from, let's say, the cucumber or components of the salad to the outside, right? Which is why we see that process of exosmosis or movement of what? Because the salt creates a hypertonic environment. We see that there is movement of water from within the constituents of the salad to the outside by the process of exosmosis. So this right here is a practical application of what you all have studied. So now we will move on to the last question, okay? Last question, which is question number 30, right? Now question number 30 ka pura is MCQ only. Pura ka pura is MCQ. Very good, Tanmay, Ankit. Very good, Vandana. Yes, yes. Awesome. So now we will go into it. There is somebody in rainy season. So, okay. In rainy season, dengue was spreading badly in the city. Simran got to know that one of her relatives was admitted in the hospital because he was suffering from dengue. Platelet count had become very less, right? Uncle had to rush to the hospital and she was confused as she had never heard about platelets. So then she spoke to her father who asked some questions on biology, right? He's a biology teacher. So he's like, first question he asked is, which connective tissue lacks fiber? Is it blood, bone, areolar tissue or cartilage? Now even if you have never heard of it, use logic and think about it and tell me which would lack fibers. I just said fibers. Anime Pra, I wish you all the very best. I mean, although you're in 6th grade, you're studying some advanced concepts. Very good. The correct answer is option A. Now, if you look at bone, areolar tissue or cartilage, you will see fibers either in the form of collagen fibers or you will see it in the form of mineralized fibers, or in the case of cartilage, you will find something called as elastin fibers. So, in the case of all of these, we will have fibers which are present. But in the case of blood, there will be no such fibrous component that is present, right? Which is why we see that the correct answer is option A. Now moving on to the next one. Which blood cell in our body produces antibodies and helps in maintaining the defense system of our body? Yes? Is it WBC, plasma, RBC or platelets? So here we're talking about the components. Where will you get the notes? Notes you will get it on the Telegram channel, but if you want notes for chapters, I will pin it in the comments of this video, right? Awesome. Okay. So as I can see, we're talking about producing antibodies and maintaining immune system or defense system. Now when you talk about the components of blood, we know that blood that is there has a fluid component and it has a cellular component, right? So the fluid component is plasma, which helps in transport of certain substances. Cellular, maybe have RBC that helps with oxygen transport. Platelet, which helps with clotting, leaving us with the answer that is WBC. So correct answer is option A. Okay. Ma'am, can you tell me, is it better to write with headings or points and highlights? Points and highlights is what I prefer. It's easier that way. Okay. Yes, Lisa, we will do it for grade 9 SST also. Now we have an assertion reason question. Assertion A says that blood is a connective tissue. Reason being that blood connects body systems, carries oxygen and nutrients to all parts of the body. Which among the answer is correct? Vijit, it is because in your final exam, they are not going to ask you to give Menti, no? Nobody is going to come. See, we do take Menti classes. We take quite a bit of Menti sessions, but we always feel it's important for all of you to know how to write the answer. So for those of you who have your exams coming up tomorrow, day after or within this week, I wish you all the very best. Watch all the sessions, go through the important pointers, try to go through the points. In case if you've not understood concept, go to the one shot and watch that particular in 2x and learn the concept. Because it's very important to build it. Yes? And don't worry, you guys will do well, but you need to have confidence. Believe in yourself that you're going to do well, okay? Whoever, I forgot your, Sambhavi, you can watch my one-shot video when I'm explaining that, because now due to lack of time it might be difficult. So you can watch that video and you can come back and let me know. I'll take your doubts then. Now of course in this particular case the correct answer is option A, right? Wherein we see that blood is a connective tissue. Yes. Connects different parts. Yes. Is it the correct explanation? Absolutely yes. Now I'm going to give you this particular question as a homework, right? Part D is going to be a homework for all of you, where what is the function of platelets? Yes. So this right here is going to be a homework question, and you need to let me know in the comments as to what is the answer. Now along with this, I am also going to give you an additional question, right? So an additional question that I'm going to give you here is for your homework. So two homeworks are there. One is what is the function of platelets, and the second question that I'm going to give you is what is the function of chlorine chyma. Yes, so this is your homework question, all of you, where you need to tell me what is the function of chlorine chyma and what is the function of platelets. So with this everybody, I think we are done for the day. Quick reminder for all of you to register for the webinar so that you can learn effective strategies in order to revise. Now this of course is something I would recommend you do it with your parents. Link is there in the description. So with this students, I am ready to sign off. I know today's class was quite long, right? We had it for almost 2 hours, 2+ hours, but now our classes are going to slowly start getting longer so that you start spending more time, learning more and revising more with us, right? So I hope you found this particular class helpful. If you did, don't forget to let me know in the comments of this video. I will definitely be sharing it with the team. So thank you so much everybody. Any more questions, doubts left, please make sure that you let me know in the comments. I will definitely answer, right? So thank you so much everybody. I will see you all soon, but up until then, take care. Lots of love to all of you and bye bye. Good night.